which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our agenda here, we have two items on the agenda, and I'd like to switch the order.
Yep, so just approve the agenda with flexibility, and we can do that.
We'll approve the agenda with flexibility.
You need a motion.
We need a motion.
Any motion for that?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded it? Sorry.
Danny.
Danny, second. Jim moved. Okay.
So the reason of that is we believe that the second one will be a little more involved, and the first one probably will go through pretty quick, so we can get that one out of the way.
I'll look for approval of the minutes when you're ready.
Okay. Has everybody read the minutes? Have any questions? Okay.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes. Second.
All in favor? Approve the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Tyler, do you want to address this first one on the?
James Drive, if you want to open a public hearing for it, then yes, I'll address it.
Okay. So we're going to open the public hearing for James Drive application. Anybody want to speak on that?
I'm the property owner.
Can you step up to the microphone for me, please?
Sure. I didn't know I was going to have to do all this. Tyler, thank you. And I'm asking to request a variance from the property line. There's a garage on the property, 16 by 22. It's about 4.4 feet off the property line. When I bought the property in April, the garage was caving in on itself. It was infested with stuff. And I took it down, not knowing I needed a permit to take it down. It was a smaller structure, so I made that error. Cleaned it off, got a concrete slab sitting there, and want to build a new garage on top of it, similar shape, size. Not very costly. It will look very much like the other garages in the area, but it'll be brand new. I wrote a letter of intent, and I have a diagram of the property. I've had the property surveyed and that sort of thing, so I know exactly where everything's at. I had the concrete slab certified by Pranger Engineering, or assessed that it was suitable for rebuild, and they agreed, no problem. There's a monolith around the perimeter of the concrete slab that goes down 12 inches, which is approved by the county. So I'm seeking approval to rebuild the garage on that concrete slab. And then if I would receive approval, I will go and get a permit through the Allen County Building Commission to get a garage built. It's just a one-car garage.
I went down to the engineering letter.
Yeah, sorry. This is very similar to what it would be. 16 by 22. The garage door would actually be more to the left because the concrete slab was poured with an apron on it already. So there's an apron sitting about 2 feet off that corner right there. Yeah, it goes 10 feet, so it'll be a 10 feet door. It'll be a nice little garage. I'll use that pitch. I believe that's a 512, 612 pitch. I'm not sure, but I'll use that pitch. It should be really nice. The whole house has been pretty much remodeled. It's in the process of getting remodeled. It was really a real wreck. So it's got a new roof on it. It's got new doors, new windows. So hopefully be a nice home for somebody. The intent, my wife and I, are to sell it.
So yeah, Chip, we ran backwards for a little ways, and then we started running in the right direction in the neighborhood. From my understanding, the neighbors are excited just to have the property cleaned up. So he's doing a good job down there. The only step after this is I'll have to adjust his ILP, which is just some paperwork with the county. So if you guys approve it tonight, he said it's 4.4. I just went back to 4 foot, not knowing exactly without having the proper surveys and all that stuff, it can flux a little bit, so. He's using the existing slab, so it's not like he's pouring himself wider.
Right. So it's just gonna be a general use garage?
Yeah, single car garage. We're gonna build it for that, hopefully it gets used for that, but maybe the homeowner would use it for something else, but.
So you're gonna flip the house, is what you're gonna do?
You know, that's the intent right now. My wife and I had discussed moving in there. That may still happen. I'm hoping to have the place done around the middle of February.
So I have a question. I know we're talking about property line here, but going back to the slab, does the 12-inch monolithic slab confer with?
Yes, it meets
Agree with-
building standards for
For
the
the
county.
county.
Yep.
Okay,
So for that size garage, I don't think you can go any bigger, right? It's at the max size it's allowed to be
No,
with it.
you're permitted 720 square feet
Yeah.
before you need a foundation, and this is at 352.
okay.
So,
So it just kind of floats.
But it's a big dog. I thought about removing it, and then I could attach the garage to the house, but it's not going to be removed. So, thank you for your time.
close the
Are there
door.
any, are there any other houses in this area that might have a similar situation that you've noticed?
There's many garages, so that, with that being an older development prior to our code,
Yeah.
none of that's standard down there, I'll be honest. So
Frankly, there's probably some homes that are very close to existing property lines and
yeah.
easements, and there's fences where there shouldn't be, and so, but everything I'm doing is, that is a certified, went through the bank on that survey, so I guess it's certified as can be, so.
I don't remember if the question got asked. Has anybody complained about it being too close to the property line?
No, not at all. I've spoke with all the neighbors there, and
Yeah, but it's like from the side, it's not from the back to the side yard. It's
yeah,
the
can
side
we
yard.
bring up the diagram? I have it on the first page. A little bit difficult to see, but so we're looking at a diagram, and Link, we're looking at, that would be east-west, so the west
Okay.
side there, east side, so the house sits about 25 feet off the road, and you can see it's about a 32 by 26 foot footprint, and then it's got a 14 by 16. And then you can see there's a section in there, and the garage is the circle section.
Yeah, okay.
And based on the survey, it's skewed a little, it's 4.4 feet off one and 4.5 feet off the other end. And since it came incorporated, I guess, in '98, it now has to be 7 feet for any new structure, so.
It's one of those quirky things, so. You guys, if you wanna close nobody else is here to talk,
Anybody?
right? Okay. You wanna
Okay.
close the public hearing, and then you guys can discuss it yourself.
If that's all, yeah, we'll close the public hearing and we'll have some board discussion if anybody has any comments or questions.
He's pretty well tied with what he has.
Yeah. I'm just glad to see somebody want to fix up. the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Thank you.
Put the money into it.
Yeah.
You know.
Made a big difference.
It's a break bond. We're enjoying this, thanks.
Okay.
So I have a finding of fact in front of you guys, or in your packet there tonight, in support of Mr. Stinsma, at 15210 James Drive. And you guys can read it, but it says that it's not, will not be of interest to the public health, safety, morals. It's not gonna impact the neighbor, and that because it was it was built prior to our zoning laws and now is being updated, it's kind of outside of his control
Okay,
to utilize the existing site.
okay. Anybody want to make a motion for or against?
I'll make it
Okay,
a second.
all right. We have a motion,
That's going through as a variance and development standards.
Yeah, from setbacks, yeah. For setback.
okay. All in favor to approve the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Get your permit.
You good?
Will do. Thank you, guys.
Have a copy tomorrow for you, and I will amend your IOP if you want to stop by tomorrow.
I will.
All right?
It's a good process. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open the public meeting here for the Moccasin Run property. And anybody want to speak on?
I'll just give a quick rundown on what the overall on it is. BZA 2025-11. The owner and build group of address 1429 Moccasin Run is requesting a variance from development standards setback. The item build group is requesting 16 inches, what they had sent over, setback for an accessory structure retaining wall with footer due to significant grade change between homes. The minimum side yard for accessory structure in residential 3 zoning is 7 feet. So with that being said, you guys have supporting and against documents within your packet. Proposed facades, proposed railings, letters that are against. The packet I just gave you is a group of those, and then Mr. Silvers had wrote one as well, and it's against it. And then I also have pictures up here if you guys are so inclined to pass these around and take a look at them that I just got tonight. And just so you guys know, if you didn't sign in, if you feel like you need to say something, you can always step up and sign in. I just need you to sign in, all right? That's just need both sides. Well, not sides, I don't know if you guys together or not. I don't know who's who, so as far as who's for and who's against, but.
And they have utility easement for it. They have to have an easement. That's not the same thing. Oh, they're talking about that right there, right there.
And then that guy on top of it.
Actually, be nice.
See, they.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Need to discuss that with KDP.
I'd like to let everybody know also this, the meeting is being filmed and recorded. It'll be online, being broadcast also.
within your packet, the application packet, does have the current drawing of it, the warranty deed for the parcel. Zion Build Group's take on why they feel like the variance is needed and good, and then also the last page of that is the architectural control board, their approval and the conditions they put forth.
This ground is 3 foot higher than this. Not the whole back. Yeah. Gotta get gravity drain or something, right?
I think there is a tile. But also,
And then there's also a survey document in there as well. So, from there away, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. Try to point you to the right document to get the answer.
Oh, I have no question, I'm just telling my question, I was more concerned about the drainage, how the drainage is gonna go, and he was explaining to me that it's a gravity drain,
Yeah.
down that way.
Whoever's,
Hey guys,
Okay.
Tyler Keys with Zion Build Group. So we've inserted a tile, I believe on the back side of that, and then on the Moccasin, on the new property side as well, so that the water would drain. So as you can see, the existing grade that was previously established, the home next to us was significantly above the curb. So when we go in to build on grade, we had quite the height difference. So the wall was inserted to retain not only for drainage purposes, so that one property isn't draining onto another. We insert the tile for that, as well as the wall being able to help retain the dirt so we don't have soil erosion issues. And then per the request of the HOA.
Where does the tile run to?
It runs into the Smiths or the,
But what I'm saying, does it run towards the street,
Yeah.
or does it run to the back of the property?
does that run,
It runs to the back.
runs to the back of the
tile-
property,
And what's in the back of the property?
the yard?
It's just yard,
Smith's
but-
yard.
And Woody Road,
there's a creek.
There's a
back there.
common block.
creek back there.
Goes to the wetlands.
But there's somewhere for it to go, that's
Yeah.
not gonna create a swamp back
No,
there.
no.
Is the drain, is there one down at the footer height, or is it up above to catch surface water?
It's within, so the wall is built, we insert a tile and backfill with stone, so that tile is gonna set below grade, so as the water infiltrates, then it will connect to the tiles and go out the existing
And is
tile
that-
to the back of the property.
And is that a trench footer or spread footer?
Trench footer is about 3 foot deep, so that gives it the most structurally sound.
How wide is it, the footer?
I believe the wall is at 8 inches, guys.
Probably 12.
Yeah, so the footer might be about 12 inches or so. So it gives it the most structurally sound, so it'll, stand the test of time.
Steel and all that good stuff in it.
Oh, yeah. Then, per the request of the HOA, and we were doing this anyways to begin with, but it will have stone facade. So as you see the existing front of that, it'll have stone to match like the home. And then they also asked us to put a fence on top of it as part of their conditional approval of the
And
of
that,
the wall
and
as
that
well.
was the architectural control for the subdivision?
Correct.
Asked that?
Yes.
Okay.
So, one more time on that tile, how far down from the ground is it? Is it down at the footer, or is it up towards, does it start? just
We have
below?
2 tiles there.
Can he answer that question?
We'll let our job super answer
Why
that.
don't you sign in and go talk with that?
and just state your name, so I have it.
Matt Miller.
Okay.
So the wall, the way the structure's built, it does stair step down as it goes towards the street. It's probably approximately 25 inches tall at the lowest point towards the street. They've backfilled with crushed stone on the back side of that. The tile is just below the surface stone at that end, and it is running with fall going towards the back of the house, going the back of the property, where it then connects back into rigid pipe, as they also have their downspouts tiled in with SDR.
Got it, okay.
And that all runs towards that. Is it Smith Drain?
wetland area. It goes
Yeah,
to
it's
the,
Okay.
it's on the north side.
And there's an inlet tile in that well.
Get it over. And then the actual grade
Yeah.
of the dirt then flows towards the road though, because of,
Yeah, sorry, I'll stay up there and answer questions. The neighbor's property, the top of the wall is slightly above the grade that was established where our property and the neighbor's property meet. As it goes out to the street, it does taper down to the curb level. Before it gets to the sidewalk, there's several utilities. There's a structure there with the electrical transformer, Comcast media, all that. There's a tree that's right there at the corner of the apex of where the wall angles back to the street. From that point forward, it will have natural drain and fall towards the street, the curb.
How are you handling, I'm gonna ask about the rear of the property, even though the wall's what's being discussed. Granted, it was snow covered when I was out there, but I was out there one other time when it wasn't snow. It still looks like from the neighbor's yard to the left as you're facing the house, that water from there, from the neighbor's house, still runs down into the adjacent property.
Yeah. So the way we're dealing with that is that corrugated tile that's running along the backside of the wall, transitions, comes down, picks up with the other downspout tiles. From the front of the garage to the back of the garage and extending through, there's an offset at the back of the house. That is all still done and corrugated with a French drain that's been put on top of it with crushed stone. So we are also collecting the water on the backside there to then funnel it into the tile past the downspouts and out to that.
Okay, to take care of what's shedding off the neighbor's yard.
Yes. And there's plan at some point with the owners, when they meet with their landscaper, to do something that finishes contouring that. I don't know what their plans are there with stone or shrubs and things of that nature.
Now, you're the owner of the house, correct?
I am not, I am the superintendent.
You're a superintendent, oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Who is the owner? You're the owner. Okay. You said this got approved by the architectural committee of the addition.
Correct.
Now, is your addition managed by a third party? So it's all homeowner
Yes,
managed?
the architecture committee is a committee made up of residents.
Right, I understand that. But I'm just trying to clarify in my mind how we got to this point. Okay? So, you went through the proper channels and you were told, yes, you can do this.
I think it's a point of clarity that we need to make, just to keep the room clear, is that the wall was already in when they realized that they needed to, at least from a town perspective, needed approval.
Okay,
So I assume it was the same for the architectural side as well. And I don't know if Zion can speak to that as well. I just want to make sure that I'm clear, like, the timeline of events is the wall's installed, and then there's a realization that, for sure, that you need the variance. They did not know that. But I think it went back to the architectural committee at that point as well.
so it went back to architecture committee in arrears then.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. That's a horse of a different color.
And that document, their approval document's in your packet.
Okay.
It's the stapled, if it has their application, I think it's the last page of that document.
okay. Anybody else like to speak for your side on that? Please state your name.
Good evening, my name is Jordan Huttenlocker. I'm an attorney at Rothberg Law Firm. Our address is 505 East Washington Boulevard, Fort Wayne, 46802. I have a few photos that I want to pass out just to supplement the public record. I'm sure your photos are better than mine, but I would at least like to hand this out. There's 10 copies.
Take one and pass it around. Jerry, if you can just put it on the table over there.
Okay.
Additional copies.
The snow doesn't help the photographs, but it makes it look pretty, so.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Tyler. Again, I represent legal counsel to Doug and Megan Smith, the owners of the property at issue tonight. I know we're here tonight to discuss the request for the variance from section 152.042 of the zoning ordinance here, which is to accommodate the 16-inch foot setback to accommodate that retaining wall that we're discussing. The photographs, I think, show the difference in the two grading between the Jordan's lot, which is to the south, and the Smith's lot, which is to the north. Or left is the Jordan's and right is the Smith's in your photograph. Now first, I know we're all here, the elephant in the room, asking for forgiveness rather than permission, for which the Smiths are greatly apologetic. This is simply not how they would have proceeded had they known all the facts before they started construction. However, these are the facts that we're with tonight, and we're here to resolve this issue. A little bit of background might be helpful. The Smiths currently live just down the street from this property which they built on. They love their neighborhood so much that they decided to build their dream house on this lot that had been vacant for over 10 years. And if you drive by, and as I think you all have all been out to the property, you can tell that no detail has been left unturned. Now the property is located just to the south of the Jordan's property, and it sits about a foot lower than their property. And because of this, as you've heard from the Keys and the superintendent, there's a strong potential for drainage issues and soil erosions from the Jordan's property to the Smith's property. The Smith's builders suggested installing a retaining wall to protect the Jordan's property and to prevent soil erosion and drainage issues. And now you've heard there's a tile that assists with this drainage, and this is the safest option in the builder's opinion. To the alternatives would be installing boulders, which would be yearly or, monthly maintenance. You'd have drainage issues, you'd also have soil erosion, and let alone having rocks in between 2 yards. And because of the location of the driveway, the retaining wall was installed at 16 inches from the property. Again, the ACC, the Architectural Committee, has approved this retaining wall, and it also required the fence. Now, the fence is not exactly what that will be. That's just a temporary fence. It will be wrought iron and stone should you all grant this variance tonight. I am an attorney, and I know I'm going to bore you all, but I want to talk about the legal test that goes along with the variance request. As you know, your zoning ordinance classifies a wall with a footer as an accessory dwelling, and that requires a 7-foot side yard setback in an R3 zoning district, which brings us here tonight because we're asking for a 16-inch setback. The legal test, the first element is whether or not it will be injurious to the public health, safety, moral, and general welfare of the community. Simply, it is not. It is not offensive, and it's not injurious. In fact, it will provide safety to both the neighboring property and the current property. It will also serve to protect the integrity of the Jordan's property and the Smith's property from drainage issues and soil erosion. I have been told that the alternative to the retaining wall is to grade the Jordan's property down to create a ditch between the two properties. I personally think that a more effective and efficient solution, as well as a prettier solution, is a wall with a retaining wall with a fence that is required by the Architectural Control Committee. It also prevents a whole host of other issues, including reseeding yards, relocating sprinkler heads, drainage tiles, etc., to regrade this property due to the two different levels of the property. The second element, the use and value of the adjacent property, will not be affected substantially in an adverse manner. Here, it will not adversely affect the use or the value of the Jordan's property. In fact, it's going to help maintain the integrity of the height of the property, the soil, and prevent drainage issues onto the Smith's property. The last element, strict application of your zoning ordinance, will result in unnecessary hardship on all of the parties. Removing the retaining wall and placing it to outside the 7 feet would create an unnecessary expense. And either two things would occur. Either this retaining wall goes at 7 feet, or you would have to regrade the property, install a ditch, or install boulders. Something has to be done. It's not simply a case of building a driveway too close to require the retaining wall. The retaining wall is simply required because of the two different levels of the property. As I've stated earlier, this is not a haphazard fence. It's a carefully designed fence and also very functional to preserve both lots. Again, if events could have unfolded differently, I'm sure that they would have sought permission at the beginning rather than being here tonight. All in all, granting a variance in favor of the Smiths will not adversely impact the public. The Jordan's lot will be preserved, it will not be adversely affected, and the wall will accomplish its intended purpose to preserve the integrity of both lots. I cannot answer any drainage questions. You'll have to ask all the superintendent and the keys on that, but I can answer any legal questions that you may have.
You don't operate the big equipment.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak for or against the proposal? Please state your name, please.
Yes. My name is Dr. Michael Sauer. I live at 14203 Whitetail Run in the Mattea Valley subdivision. And I stand before you as a concerned homeowner in the Mattea Valley subdivision. I also speak as someone with direct knowledge of our architectural approval process, as my wife served on the Architectural Control Committee. At the time, the original plans were submitted in October of 2024 for the 14229 Moccasin Run. And finally, I speak to you as a pediatrician with deep concerns for the safety implications that this variance presents, not only for my family, but all the families in the Mattea Valley community. We are here today because the builder and homeowner at 14229 Moccasin Run, Leo, Indiana, is requesting the variance of development standards. They are seeking the approval to reduce the side setback requirement from the mandated 7 feet to just 16 inches for the construction of a retaining wall, which according to the builder's own submission, this retaining wall would sit beside a 30 to 32 inch drop. Let me be clear, the original plans submitted and approved to the Architectural Control Committee did not include any change in the elevation, any retaining wall, or any requests for reduced setback. These major alterations represented a significant deviation from the plans that were originally approved. Furthermore, the Mattea Valley Homeowners Association covenants, Article 3 on the architectural control, explicitly states that any changes must be submitted in writing and approved by the committee before any of this occurs. This did not happen. These changes, as you now are aware, were made after the fact without approval. And our covenants are even more explicit under Article 5, Section 5, which states, in any event, building setbacks shall not be located nearer than 7 feet to the sideline. There's no ambiguity here. A 16-inch setback is a direct violation of our covenants and the zoning standards that all homeowners in Mattea Valley are required to follow. What makes the situation even more concerning is the fact that this issue is entirely self-inflicted. The builder chose to excavate downward, creating a dramatic elevation change that did not exist. This choice created a need for a retaining wall, and not just any wall, but one placed in a location where it creates a definite fall hazard, especially for neighborhood children. As a pediatrician, this is deeply troubling. A 30-inch fall onto concrete is enough to cause a serious injury. Even with a railing that close to a property line is still very much a trip or fall hazard. When that hazard is directly on the property line, it makes the adjacent yard a place where children play, families gather, or neighbors interact significantly less safe. It also threatens property values as the overall desirability of neighborhood homes. If this variance is approved, it sets a dangerous precedent for all of this in Mateo Valley. It tells future builders and homeowners, go ahead, circumvent the whole process. Do whatever you want. If it violates the rules, just apply for a variance later. Or as we've already heard the common expression, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. But that is not how a community is governed, by zoning laws, covenants, and architectural oversight. Why do we have zoning laws, setback requirements, and architectural review procedures if they can be ignored, violated, and dismissed, especially when the violation is a direct result of someone knowingly and intentionally deviating from initially approved plans? This was not an unforeseen hardship. This was not a constraint imposed by the land. This was a deliberate decision, one that disregarded the rules of our community. For these reasons, for the safety of our children, for the protection of our property values, for the integrity of our neighborhood covenants, and the fairness to every homeowner who does and did follow the rules, and to prevent a precedent that could undermine our community standards. I respectfully ask that the request for this variance be denied, and I appreciate your time, gentlemen.
Okay. Anyone else here to speak?
Can I speak in response to that?
Sure.
Am I allowed to?
As long as you're signed in.
Yeah, I say your name. Yeah, Dwayne Keys, I I appreciate your words, but they're extremely inaccurate. Tyler, did you pass out the grade?
Yes, yep, they have, it's part of their package.
Okay, so with that, you'll see the Jordan's home is roughly 7.5 feet, I believe, over the curb.
Yes, 7 foot 2 inches in equivalent.
And then can you tell me what it says for the height of the Smith's house?
2 foot 4 inches.
So we did not dig the lot down. The house is sitting above, exactly like it needs to be. So that's completely inaccurate that we dug the lot down. You excavate soil out when you build onto a lot. And you compact good soil back in. So we set the height according to what it needed to be.
Okay. Yep, state your name and please sign in also. Okay.
My name's Jason Jordan. Before I begin, we did submit photos that kind of illustrate the opposite of what was just said. There's a very gradual change.
And you guys, those photos.
It's the large,
Yeah, the printed ones that I handed out right before the meeting started.
you can see when they had a gravel driveway, that there was a very gradual change in elevation, or drop in elevation.
What they say? I had it here.
It's the actually good non-printed paper ones. That's it, sorry. I just wanted to make
Oh,
sure
over here. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I did it right now.
When
Thank you.
that's the construction drive cut in there, the stone one.
And you can see it's
Right here.
there's a very little reduction in height from.
It's in that.
That's that package right there.
It's this package here.
Right there, the front one.
That's the difference in grade, yeah.
This, the one you're looking at there is the original difference, before they came back and re-excavated to the property line.
And you're saying this driveway is basically close to grade within 6 inches?
I couldn't say 6 inches exactly, but it's,
Well, you're gonna pour concrete
It's-
on it.
yeah, I'll agree with you.
Well, where is this excavation at?
So that was the original excavate, the first page is in November of 2024, and then they came back and re-excavated in October of 2025 up to the property line, which is why everything dropped down, and you see the 36-inch drop.
was, excuse me just a moment, was that a wooden lot?
It's a wooded lot, you have to take the roots out, put your foundation.
Okay,
So that soil was taken out, it's bad soil, you can't build on it. We compacted new soil back in, we built 2.5 feet above the curb, we didn't destroy trees and cause drainage issues to the adjoining property to the north. Okay, and in addition, the purchase agreement when that house was built specifically states that homes are not to be more than 3 feet above the curb.
And where is that information?
By the building.
And the one next door is 7'2", is that correct?
Yes, it's for this kind of reason. You can't jack a house that far out of the ground, not put in a swale to the adjoining property.
Did you encounter any tile or anything?
Yes, yes, those tiles, everything was draining onto the Smith's lot, and you can't do that either. That's against the storm ordinance.
So everything from the property to the left was all draining across,
With no swale, there was
With
nowhere
no
for that
swale.
water to go.
and that was all done in tile work.
Because we've taken that tile, as we talked about on the retaining wall, and routed everything around the Smiths.
So they are tied back in. No,
With the exception of the two, I think right now that are in the back, that still need to be connected in. That would be correct.
But I would not connect those two tile into that tile, depending on where their tile come from. You don't want to create any further issues for them.
correct.
That needs to be handled between us and them if they're willing to talk. There's got to be a good way to do that. Nobody wants to have any issues.
Okay, but initially, that was all
Yeah.
draining.
The tiles were out onto that property.
And again, tell me where this 36-inch rule comes in at,
It was on the purchase agreement.
on the purchase.
Would have been on the original purchase agreement on the Jordan property way back 2010 or 2009,
Whenever
something
they-
to that.
whenever they built the house.
The original developer is here and set the purchase agreement standards for how the neighborhood and homes were to be constructed.
explain that to me again about the 36-inch. I missed something here.
So,
We didn't mean to interrupt.
Let her build it.
I will say that Mr. Delagrange did sign off on our plan as submitted. So, and he visited the site regularly during construction according to our builder. So he was aware of the elevation of the lot as it was being constructed.
I missed the 36-inch somehow.
they're not to be greater than 36 over the curb.
Okay.
Because it causes issues like this.
Okay,
He, as the developer, though, does not police the height of the foundation. Once he's approved a set of plans, the whole role of an architectural control committee, in all honesty, clarity here, is to approve a set of plans. They're not builders. A pediatrician is not a builder that knows how to excavate out a lot and set a foundation.
I was not on the committee.
But making comments that we dug it out is 100% inaccurate in relation to how the foundation goes in.
so you're trying to fix Mother Nature's grade problem.
We're trying to fix the grade that was honestly caused when the Jordans built their house. If you look to the left, continue down that street, between the Smith's house and the house next door, guess what there is? A nice big swale for drainage. Go to the next one, another swale. That's what should have been done on the Jordan's property.
If you're, okay, if
You
you,
dealt with
I'm
what was
sorry.
there and improved.
if each house is set back 7 feet from the property line, and you got a 7-foot drop, how are you gonna put a swale in there?
You can't.
That's why the 36-inch rule was to be enforced or existed, so that you don't have
These kind of
these
problems.
grade elevation changes.
Yeah.
So the wall is fixing the sins or the wins of prior home construction. This wall is here to fix that. And as the pediatrician noted, he finds it dangerous. Well, the HOA board, architectural board is making us put a fence on it. Twofold. One, the Smiths are not just willingly inviting kids to run and play on their property, that would be trespassing, to a fence is there. If for some reason somebody does, they shouldn't fall over it. But if they were to climb on it or something, you know, that's trespassing on their property, and it's all
Well, that'd
on
be
their
a,
property.
that would be a typical situation for any drop-off like that,
We
right?
have videos of the kids, because their basketball hoop now sits in the middle of our front yard on the property line. Your kid, I mean, the balls go over the wall into the middle of our yard, they're climbing right over the rail, they're gonna continue doing that. Climbing right over the rail, just hopping back off, and, I mean, just, even with the rail, kids climb,
Well,
fall.
This gentleman had the floor, so let's let him
A
finish
lot of
up.
the questions will be addressed. So, as I said before, my name is Jason Jordan. My family has lived directly next door to the property seeking this variance for 14 years. I'm here tonight because the nearly 3-foot tall retaining wall on a footer now sits just 12 inches from the property line. I measured it 100 times, not the 16 inches that they're requesting. That's 86% closer than the 7-foot required by our zoning ordinance. This wall, as many people have said, has been built with it's better to seek forgiveness and permission approach from the beginning. First with the HOA and now Leo. I'm going to deviate from my speech a little bit and mention that the HOA did deny the wall at least 2 times before approving. And I don't have inside information, but it was only after the builder said that if it wasn't approved, there would be no other recourse, which I believe our HOA may have taken as a threat of a lawsuit, and that's why it was approved. But I'll get back to the point. So after completion and after being found for non-compliance, that's when the builder did request a variance, and I respectfully ask you to deny that request and protect the standards we all rely on. First, the wall is a serious safety hazard. As other people have said, it's now 3 feet higher than the concrete. My yard is now 3 feet higher than the concrete driveway with nothing but gravel and a concrete wall between them. A child chasing a ball, an adult stepping backwards while mowing his grass, or a guest at a gathering could easily fall 3 feet onto concrete. That's an injury or worse, just waiting to happen. The risk of an injury is only marginally mitigated with an unsightly front yard railing. Nowhere else in our neighborhood is fencing or railing allowed in the front yard. Second, the wall will impact my property value and sale of our home. Families with young children, the largest segment of buyers in our neighborhood, are likely to eliminate our property from consideration because of the drop-off right next to my yard. That shrinks my pool of future buyers and could cost my family tens of thousands of dollars when we do sell. Additionally, such a large, permanent structure so close to our property line diminishes the curb appeal of my home. Speaking to our real estate lawyer and our agent, real estate realtor, has validated our concerns. I'm also concerned about the erosion of our property based on how the wall was constructed. Our soil will slowly erode into the gravel barrier between the wall and our property. Third, the hardship is 100% self-created. The builder chose to return and re-excavate their lot and widen their driveway to be wider than originally planned and approved. As you can see from the submitted photos on the topography map, the lots were initially relatively level with one another. The entire street gradually slopes downward toward the lot seeking the variance. The plan submitted by Zion Build Group and approved by the HOA before construction began was entirely more than 7 feet from the property line. This includes the driveway. The builder could have achieved the originally planned driveway width by sloping gradually or building a shorter wall further back. Zoning compliance was and still is entirely possible. I'm aware that the builder claims to be concerned about a line in their purchase agreement that foundations shouldn't be greater than 3 feet above the curb, as we just discussed. My home is above that level, as are many other homes, as I display in those photos. We did not raise our land height. It remains the same elevation as it was pre-construction, as are the other houses on our street. All of this is irrelevant, though, because Zion could have constructed the retaining wall 7 feet or more from the property line, as you can see in the originally approved plan. Please understand this wall is not meant to protect the actual house. The wall is between the driveway, and the only purpose of the wall is for the driveway extension. Finally, approving an 86% deviation from a clear setback rule undermines the purpose of our ordinance and sets a dangerous precedent. I respectfully ask that you please don't reward noncompliance at my family's and our other neighbors, who are all here, expense. Deny this variance, require the wall to be moved or removed, and confirm that our zoning codes still mean something. We, along with every other established homeowner on Moccasin Run, again, we're all right here, oppose this wall and have since day one, as the submitted community statement reflects, which is included in our packet. Whether or not the builder knew about this ordinance or not is irrelevant. It is their responsibility to find out and comply with the ordinances before beginning work. This misstep has gotten us to where we are today and put us all the affected homeowners in an unfair and unnecessary situation. Variances are not intended to remedy poor planning or decisions made after construction has begun. If there is even the slightest chance the wall can negatively impact us, which it does, it should not be approved due to not meeting the town's 7-foot ordinance. Thank you for your time and for protecting the safety, property values, and fairness of our community. And originally, that was all I was going to say today, until 9 o'clock this morning. As you can see from some of the other pictures, AEP came at 9 o'clock this morning to work on the property seeking the easement variance. Because the retaining wall prevented AEP from accessing their property from their side of the property line, they were forced to bring a mini excavator through the middle of my property, damaging my yard, almost definitely damaging my irrigation system, and probably my drainage tiles, just to be able to work on their utilities. This is a perfect example of why the wall should not be allowed in the 7-foot easement. A packet of photos was also submitted. We also have a video and recording. We spoke to one of the AEP utility workers that explained that the wall, why they had to go through our yards, because they couldn't do the work they needed to do from the Smith's side. That's it. Thank you.
Anyone
Do you have
else?
any questions for me before I sit down?
Go ahead.
First of all, the day that we met on the site out there, I didn't take my cane with me, and I walked up that steep yard by the front porch there. And I wish I had my cane with me because it's that steep, okay? Builders love to build them up there as high as they can so they don't have to haul basement dirt away, okay? They've been doing this for years. And we fight with that all the time, and that's why we put that 3 foot in there. Not that they can't go higher, but we like to have them come back to us and say what they're doing and what they're gonna do to create swales, to get rid of that water. That particular lot that we built on for the Smiths here, the natural way it drained was to the street and to the north of the wetlands, which there's an inlet over there, a storm inlet in the wetlands. That's the direction the water's supposed to go, to the street and that direction there. And we already had some of their tile coming over onto this property, onto the Smith's property. That there again, Matt was in the process of rerouting those for them. The other thing is, as far as the height that we put the pad, the house, if you go back to the left rear corner of that house as you're facing the left rear corner, we brought that slab a foot out of above existing grade. And we went back there the other day, and I went back there with them, with my cane, in the snow, and we dug down through the dirt. Took about that much, we went back off the corner a little bit, about that much topsoil on it, and there was the yellow clay down underneath, okay? So we left rear corner of that house was the point that we started. We brought the slab up a foot from that. And then if you go to the front right corner of that house, it was probably 3.5 foot higher than that. And we had to take out the roots and the topsoil. Robin, you know we don't build on that stuff, okay? And then we hauled loads and loads of fill back in and brought it up there to the level that's at. And like I said, it was built up like 3.5 foot on the right front corner, so to take care of the elevation that we needed. So, you guys have any other questions?
Yeah. he's the developer.
I live in Mateo too, so. Yeah. I didn't get the address and stuff filled out here.
You're fine, you're fine. It's just so I can put it all in my notes.
If somebody wants to go out there and check, you can see the dirt on top, when they throw it up, it's still there.
More comments?
I just want to clarify a few points that have been brought up tonight. I promise I'll just take a minute. I can appreciate the Jordan's concerns. In fact, this is the most Jordans I've had in a room at one time, so it's kind of an interesting point for me. Neither here nor there. They lived next to a vacant lot for over 10 years. I can appreciate when someone purchased the lot and went to excavate it and to build a home that might cause some disappointment, let's say, because they lost their view. And I can appreciate that concern. But they did live next to a lot in a subdivision that was for sale, that could be developed, and it was developed. It was a wooded lot, and as you've heard tonight, a lot had to be removed. The trees, the roots, new soil had to be brought in to bring us to where the elevation is today. Second, the purpose of this retaining wall is not for the driveway. It is, as you've heard, for drainage issues, for soil erosion protection, and to preserve the integrity of the Jordan's property, and to preserve the Smith's property as well. The comments about ADP is irrelevant. They were out there for other purposes today. Whether there was a block wall installed, which doesn't require a variance, whether there was a swale that probably would have had to access a property different, they were not instructed to go through their lot. That's an unfortunate timing event, and I think it's irrelevant for this purposes of tonight. Regarding home values, I'm sure you went out there. This is a $1.2 million house. We're not dealing with a $200,000 house that was slapped onto this property. This is a nice home in a nice neighborhood. It will not decrease the values of the property by having a retaining wall. In fact, instead of a boulder wall, it probably is more attractive and is not as an eyesore as it could have been. Last, as you all know, you can't legally drain your stormwater onto another's property. It has to go to a common drain. And this is correcting an issue that was an issue that the Jordans were draining into the Smiths. It's now being taken care of. I do appreciate that we're asking for forgiveness here. In a perfect situation, we would have asked for a variance at the get-go and we would not have such hard feelings tonight. But as I said earlier, unfortunately, these are the facts that we're dealing with tonight. So we're hoping that you will grant the variance for 16 inches to allow this retaining wall to be installed and to prevent further drainage and soil issues. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Typically, without the retaining wall,
This guy had been in business for years.
if I would have been the builder
Why would he have
and
done this?
my elevation differences were that much between the existing home to then, I'd be knocking on their door and say, how much of their land can I take to cut a drainage swale so that you're not shedding water over to me?
That's Jordan's last point about the storm drain.
Pardon?
That was Jordan's last point
Yeah.
that we discussed is, unfortunately, we were dealing with a storm drainage issue that we did not create. And the two lots, back in the day, were the same height, but they're not anymore, because of what was built previously. So it's unfortunate, and had we known we needed Smith for the wall, we would have, but it wouldn't have changed anything. So we did what we needed to do.
If you understand those grades, that 4'2" side yard on that chart, that's 4'2" above the curb, is 1'2" higher than we can place our house by their standards. So that kind of puts in relation we have.
But obviously the standards weren't followed when
by one person.
with the Jordan by one person.
We're not the only house that's elevated.
I'm sure you're not.
They're supposed to take care of the elevator.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not.
You're
It-
supposed
it's
to take care of
obvious-
your own water though.
I got just a quick question for clarity's sake, and I don't know who can answer this from anywhere, I guess. When you guys submit, because I've never been a part of that, when you submit a house to architecture, do you submit the grades of that house too? Or do you just do like you do with us and submit the house with setbacks? Okay, I just wanted clarity, I didn't know, because the way it was presented earlier is that you had presented the grades and then those had changed, and I just wanted to make sure that,
I've
for
done.
my clarity's sake, how you guys do that, I don't know, I don't see that side of the business.
It's, I mean, the grade was never changed, and the developer was aware of the grade.
No, my question is that I thought I had heard someplace along the way that when you submit to the architectural committee for your house, that you also submit the grade, is that correct?
No. Just a setback and 7 feet.
Okay, just a setback, that's all those, okay.
I'll emphasize that we did not raise our yard for our
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It's,
So that's what I was just asking for clarity, because I thought at some point somebody had said that during the architectural meeting, when you guys first presented your house to them for approval, that the grades were approved, or was part of that. I just want to make sure either that was the case or not.
Grade plans are not a standard item submitted for architectural approvals
Correct.
in
Same way
Moccasin,
as-
nor usually in other neighborhoods.
Okay, I'm just asking for clarity.
Yep.
Just to state one thing, we're builders, developers, and over the years, we've had a lot of architectural control on our own subdivisions and things like that, I guess. There's been a lot of times where you have to build some kind of retaining wall when you're building a property up against that other property, whether it's a boulder wall that stacks up, which can get slimy, slippery, a block wall that just stacks, which if dirt pushes on that, it can push over a lot easier, and stuff like this. We were not aware of your ordinance, I've not ran into that before over the years, we've been building for over 35, 40 years, and we've done that in other cases where you put something to retain the neighbors to your property when you're building, because the driveway and stuff can go right to the property line. There's nothing against that, but you have to retain that property to be able to do that. And I guess our bad, like I said, we're doing our own developing and stuff, we just never had to submit that we're doing this wall. The reason we're doing it is to retain that dirt, no other reason.
So did I hear in this conversation, I just want to clarify this, that both these properties were the same elevation at one time?
No, they couldn't.
Maybe before the houses were ever built.
Yeah.
Before they were ever built?
Yeah.
Now I'm telling you.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
There you go.
And then one house was brought in, they put a basement in it, and
Daylight windows,
Like front, I think.
that's
Elevated the house out of the ground.
so,
Yeah.
if I'm understanding this right, and tell me if I'm wrong, whoever wants to tell me, I'm a big boy. The problem was created earlier when this other house was built, because it did not stay with the variance or the building controls, or whatever you want to call it, of maintaining that 36 inch or whatever it is.
100% accurate.
So according to the diagram they sent us here, the original grade is 806 on the Jordan's house, and the parcel next door is 804, going down to 800 in the.
Yeah, that's from the GIS viewer, so.
Yeah, GIS view.
that-
I mean, and that's LiDAR. They fly over, do a LiDAR view of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual, but I'm just saying,
But that typically, the GIS view, what you're seeing there on those
Right.
contour lines, that is typically, existing elevations before anything has ever been done.
Right.
So, that.
yeah, I don't know when that data was updated.
Yeah, you can't
So,
really go by
It
that.
actually, before there was any houses back there, it actually did grade higher to the south, but not that much. It might have gone up 1 or 2 feet. That used to be one of my favorite hunting spots. back
Yeah.
there. I know that very well. I
Yeah.
knew about each tree right back there, but
To clarify your point, that is true, but you can choose to raise it higher than the 3 feet, which several said they are, but you're still expected to keep your water at a swale where the neighboring property doesn't have to do this.
Right.
Being that
Okay,
their side yard is 1.2 higher than what the maximum suggestion is, that's where we ran into this. They didn't ask them to pay for the wall, they just retained the dirt. So that's the issue, is they ended up at 4 feet 2 above curb with their lowest point in the side yard. So that's where, if they could raise their house and take care of their own dirt on their property or the water, then it's not an issue.
Right.
so the problem was created when they built the first house.
Well, a lot of times they do that, but then you grade on out into the empty lot and it's just maintained and looks normal.
Right,
If they have a basement, we have a slab, so ours isn't 6-7 feet above, so we have a nice swale.
Right.
They would have to start way back here and transition down
Well-
and be able to have that.
if the house with the basement was built and created this problem, from what I'm seeing, this is a solution to fix that problem.
I'd like to speak to that. So,
Step back up the microphone, sorry. The only way you get on air is go in there.
yeah, there's still no reason that the retaining wall can't be 7 feet further into their lot. If you look at the submitted plan that was approved by the HOA, there's more than 7 feet between the property line and the driveway. They could put the wall there and manage the drainage. And I don't know exactly what that drainage tile is that they're referring to. It may be just a downspout that's already been remedied, replaced by something that stops, in our yard like a normal downspout would do. I don't recall, it's been 14 years, we haven't had to maintain any water runoff. Certainly not into the neighbor's yard intentionally.
I'm listening to you have to say here. My biggest question here is, you talk about public hazards, public safety hazard. Now, I grew up 72 years ago in this area, growing up in this area, and the hills and the things that we come over and the accidents that we had as kids, or stepping in somebody else's yard, falling over, is not, I don't call that a very hazardous thing at that age, okay? Not me. The other thing is the negative impact on the property value. I'm in the real estate business for 41 years. And that did not, in my opinion, have any impact on that other than to drive up the value of the houses that surround it. Because what happens, it's gonna cost you more money if that house is appraised in a comparison to the house next door to it. So, and I don't care how you wanna look at that, it's how that works in the real estate industry. So that's something I'll clarify there. Self-created hardship, I can go through this all I want, but I'm still thinking it over, I'm still looking at it. But a lot of these things that I see here, as far as hazards, no, I don't care if a kid falls over 3 foot off the edge of steps. Well, if you fall over at 3 foot, then I think we got a problem. Okay, if I'm 300 pounds and I fall over there, it's gonna hurt a lot worse than it is for kids, weighs 80 pounds.
So we live in a suing society.
Well, we are, then you talk to your attorney about that, okay, but we're not gonna get into
And they
that.
have.
The thing is, it's fine, but I'm just saying, we live in a society, you can't walk out your doorstep and fall over into somebody's sidewalk and you're already gonna be sick again. It's a still happy society in a situation like that. Now, I'm not saying I'm against anybody, I'm not saying against anybody that's in this room, I have nothing against attorneys, I have nothing against anybody that's involved. It's just there's a difference between right, wrong, and enjoyment and value, and everybody can work out together and get this thing resolved in some way, we can all work out together. But not to sit back there and say, hey, because he's gonna fall off that 3 foot and edge, he's gonna get hurt and seriously injured. I know, I have trouble with that. Now, again, I'm still looking, I'm still thinking, I'm just telling you what I wanna know, where do these things come from?
I think the builder has even acknowledged that it's a safety risk by the 2x4 fence with the no trespassing sign that they've put up on the wall right before Halloween, because kids in the dark are running yard to yard, and that's an example of one of the big hazards. And a black wrought iron fence in the dark.
Well, I understand your side, and I base my life off common sense, okay? So you can base it how you want, but that's just what I look at in my lifestyle, what I've went through, what I've seen from the day this place started, when all there was the woods here.
And even from a real estate perspective, you don't agree with the wall affecting the property value. It does affect the curvature. Everyone that comes to our house, I should say, almost everyone that comes to our house is like, how is that wall approved?
need to, yeah, people need to take care of their properties.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just common sense. You just have a wall there, to be the best one on the block, you gotta have it decorated and designed. Where the next door neighbor don't take time to do anything, let the place collapse. So what do you do about that?
and I also want to reemphasize that it's 12 inches and not 16.
So I mean, I'm just evaluating, you know, you can make your own decision, how you can do. But that's something that I do look at. Okay, thank you.
Everybody's done, you close the. Is everybody done?
He's got one comment about why we put that block up.
Yeah, so, Matt Miller, again, just to reiterate, the safety rail that he may be talking about, this process started prior to Halloween. The plan was to have it started and finished. At that time, that's when the architectural committee got involved. We realized it was gonna be a process and that it was gonna draw out. At that time, we did have the driveway formed up, so we had staked grate pins and other rebar and things of that nature up. It was gonna be dark, that's why we put the temporary handrail up. We've left it up since, just because the process has not been resolved and we don't have our permanent structure up there, which the fence to be included according to the HOA Architectural Committee.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'm David Bailey, I'm the attorney for the town, and I just had a clarifying question. Gentleman in the back talked about, if the two properties are level, the driveway can be closer than 7 feet, correct?
It can go right to the property line, yes.
And so putting in a wall like this increases the buildable area of the property there?
On any property, yeah, yeah.
And if you don't have something like that, then there's less buildable area unless you do some sort of significant earth movement.
But, yeah, the hard part would have been transitioning from their height to our slab to create a swale that would actually get rid of the water. Would
You
not
have to
be,
bring the whole lot up.
it would not be an easy task. When you got a slab in a basement, which happens in subdivisions all the time.
Yeah.
That's, if you get two big basements that are up, like between theirs and the neighbor, it works because they can do that. If you got a slab to that, starting with theirs, yes, you can't, their water just all comes this way. They'd have to tear the whole yard up to try to get it down to that point, and that would be terrible for
The
them.
wall 7 feet from the property line.
Yeah, but,
And then you still have the wall.
But if-
I mean,
but if we could put a block wall there with no footer, none of us would be here.
I don't think
Would
any
just
of
be-
us would be here if we just talked with you guys. It was just in one day. Like, I feel like we could have come to a compromise, or it was just like, who cares about you guys? We're just gonna do what we want. And I feel it's because they wanted a bigger driveway. I just, you know, we could have worked this out. The fact that they put the basketball hoop, I mean, it's a focal point from our windows. Right, I mean, it's right there on the property line, facing the middle of our front yard. Every missed ball goes right over into our yard. It's climbing over, which I know is not an issue for today.
Well,
It's the HOA issue.
The
But-
basketball hoop is not part of
Yeah,
this
but
discussion.
there's just so many factors where we just felt like, hey, and I was so excited to have new neighbors and streamline with them in the driveway and, I mean, be part of our amazing street. This is just not how we wanted it to go, and I wish Zion would have maybe talked with us, knocked on the door, said, hey, we got a problem, what do we do to work this out? Or the homeowners.
I guess I wanted to speak to.
Oh,
Sorry, can I speak to that?
Yes.
So we overbuilt in the neighborhood, we knew that because we love the neighborhood, our kids love the neighborhood.
I understand.
They have a ton of friends in the neighborhood. And we also were looking forward to that, and so we got this late, and so, like, it feels real good to have all of our new neighbors here against us, I'll tell you that does not feel good. I mean, we have said we've paid a lot of money to build our dream home, and we're ready to put it up for sale. Like, this has been awful. And so, that doesn't feel good to us. We don't wanna have our attorney, like this, it feels gross. And to talk about the basketball hoop, that's not, same.
I want to tell you that we're all here next year.
It does feel like that.
We're against the wall, the property line.
Okay.
Yeah, we could talk.
All right.
Dang it.
Okay.
Dang it.
I think we're ready to close this unless we have anything really pertinent here, but I think we've heard both sides and pretty well understand the situation.
My last thing is I am concerned about if that wall stays. The man that came to our door today did say that from here on out, all utility work will have to go through our front yard because there's no way to do it. Besides going under, which I know Tyler, you mentioned, and we brought that up and they said that costs extra money and AEP's not gonna pay, he said no company's gonna pay.
What were they there doing today? I just got lost.
I have it on video because the guy's like, you can record me. He said when the retaining wall went in, they.
It was the
damaged
driveway. When they poured the drive, so we lost power on Thanksgiving because something, AEP said one of the mains going into the house, they said sometimes it happens in new builds. It disconnected something.
We lost a phase.
We lost a phase, and so they put a temporary box and, I don't know.
Yeah,
I couldn't cook my Thanksgiving
But
meal
because
stuff.
of that, like they had it, like in the, as you saw in the pictures, that big machine in the middle of our yard, in the snowy muddy, ripping up the yard, all on top of, like, plowing where our sprinkler line is, our main line is. And I said, any issue with any utility person is gonna take the easy route and go through your front yard. Because there's no way to do it, because that wall is on the property line. There's, I mean, well, it's 12 inches.
Which is the purpose of adding the ordinance.
Yeah, and
There's
then
not-
everybody's gonna be requesting 16, but it is not 16 currently,
Is
it's
there-
12.
Is
There's
there a
not a
utility
utility
easement
easement
there?
between the two properties.
No
so
easement?
If, any excavator would have had to go on one property or the other
Or half and
above
half.
normally. So there is no utility
I
easement
mean,
there.
half and half would have been fantastic, not 100% in the middle of our yard. Here comes the big excavator.
Okay. All right, we're gonna close the public hearing and we're gonna have some board discussion here. So, anybody have anything to say?
Who caught the 36 inch?
All plates are on our-
Excuse me. I think everybody's going off. Who caught the 36 inch above curb?
That would have come from Herb,
That came from Herb?
who's
Okay.
the original developer.
Starting the development, we have that on all of our, lot information and put it on purchase agreement.
So anybody who buys,
Just because if they go beyond that, then, if they're doing a basement like
Yeah,
that,
that's-
you have to play ball with them, but then we want to know what's going on. How's it affect the property next door?
okay.
I remember when we were building, like we were dug and you came and introduced yourself and talked with us multiple times while our builder was there. You never once said, hey, why are you up here? Like you complimented how beautiful our home. I mean, I would have hoped at that point you would have sent our builder a letter of non-compliance saying, hey buddy, you messed up, you gotta drop this down. You never did it, you were great. We enjoyed talking with you, but you never once said, this is not how it's supposed to be. You never reached out, and our builder was talking about trying to get here today. He did get us our approval letters, from, who's the first person?
Just did a great deal.
From, well, first, sign.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, we're gonna close this here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we're gonna have some board discussion here, so. Go ahead.
I see no other way to resolve it, actually, than the way it is now. Now, you could do it, yes, with boulders, and you could do it with other items that would not work or hold up. You sure can't do it with a drainage swale because you're gonna be, taking property on both sides to do that. To me, this is the only solution to the problem, other than moving the entire house over, or a driveway or something like that.
The wall's too close.
Okay, so every homeowner, and the builders did state this, that you can put your driveway clear to the property line, there's nothing wrong with that. So they have the right to do that. The other thing is, we've talked a couple times about swale, that there could have been a swale, but it would have had to go into the neighbor's yard. So that's not really a good solution, because why tear up their yard? Another option would be just to put rocks there, sloping rocks. But I don't feel that's any safer than a fence. I mean, you walk across there in the dark and you fall down the rocks, and they move, their maintenance. The picture of the fence, that permanent fence that's going to be there, I think is beautifully designed, and it's classy looking. And the stone veneer, the brick veneer that goes on there, I think that looks good. They could have, they could have put the rocks there. They actually could have put a wall there without a footer. The only reason it's not making zoning requirements would be because it has a footer. The footer is what's holding up the solid wall. They could have just put something else there. So that's the footer is what I see the concern being. And the fence, you stated that there was no fence in the addition. Well, the community pool has a fence that goes right across the front there too. So, I mean, it's all there. So I really think it's a good solution myself to approve it myself, but I don't know if you all.
I'll second what you're saying. Also, there on top of the amenities, I've seen increase the value, not decrease the value of the property. You've got more things around, more attractive things around. It's not just flat land, everybody's the same way, everybody looks the same. So I have some positive indications there. As far as, in my opinion, again, I'll tell you that it does increase the value of a property because that appraised value is going to be appraised for much higher, and you are going to be paying more taxes. So that's the bad side. But and there's no risk to the public health, which I've read in here, talking about public health issues, somebody falling over the edge, the kids playing ball, whatever you have. Who knows what, they got better chance of getting hit on the highway. You know, and some things, I can say what I want, I'm just my word is not against you. But you know, our cases here, you got no hardships I see anywhere. I can't picture a hardship here, other than that somebody over next door is gonna like it there. You know, that they can do something. I'm agreeing on this side of that it doesn't affect much, and I can see no damage to the soil, no damage to the drainage. Drainage has already been taken care of. It's already been, evaluated, and it meets the qualifications. They all went through those processes and did it did it legally. And other than that, as far as, if there's a variance anywhere, it's such a minimal thing in variance, I don't see where a problem would be, in my opinion. I'll let you take it, Brian.
Before you tonight, you have two findings of fact, one in favor, one against. So.
Like me, if I had one in effect.
And I would add, I've talked to Mr. Bailey, that the variance in favor would be, obviously, the wall stays where it's at. There seems to be a discrepancy on whether it's 12 inches or 16 inches, and I was out there, and I'm sure it depends on where you measured at what point as to where it's at exactly, but the one in favor would say that it stays where it's currently at.
That's why I would be in favor of that. That would be the thing. So it's on my side. On my side of the motion. I make a motion to accept that.
You do?
I do.
You said sorry, I need to.
Yes, I do. I do. I mean, I'm just simply going, I've been in real estate for many years, and the value, when you talk about affecting values, I don't really see that affecting the value other than increasing values of the surrounding area, because people are improving. Well, you can talk to me really, you want to talk to.
Everybody has their own agenda.
They have their own agenda, they have their own feelings on that, but I've done it for long enough to know.
What happens when we have 12 people come look at the house and 8 of them are like, nope, we don't want to live with that right on our property line. And
I don't, again, I can't be the judge on that, on behalf of that, but the years that I've spent in real estate, and that, the people look at the surroundings as far as the beauty of it, the locality, what happens in the towns, you know, what's available, how close are we to town, where's the nearest restaurant, nearest hotel. I mean, you name what it is. There's all kinds of things outside the fence that attracts the people to come in. Okay, and there's a lot of neighbors, number one. You love neighbors, and neighbors like to socialize with each other and have good times together. It's a very good town. It's a very Pioneer Village and these areas around are just beautiful. And everybody gets together. We go out, we go on golf cart rides. We have a good time. We all see each other, and we have no problem. Again, I mean, like I've heard here is that yeah, we've got a difference in footage of how high it's going to be versus how low it had been before, where it should have been. I don't see in my eyes how that becomes an issue as far as devaluing a property next door or endangering a child. I mean, golly sakes, you know, they can trip out there and coming off the edge of the sidewalks on the edge of the curbs and do just as much hurt right there as they would there, in my opinion. You know, I'm not going to say I'm 100% right, as we all know. It's 99% right, correct? So I'm just going to say it out here. So
We have a motion on the floor to approve.
To approve the variance, so approve the finding of fact that's in favor of the variance
As it stands.
as it stands.
As it stands.
And just so you guys are aware, add in that to echo the, housing, the HOA's architectural committee, a condition of, as a condition of approval, the retaining wall shall include a handrail that is substantially similar in appearance to one that was presented to you guys tonight.
So, do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. We're gonna vote. All in favor of approving it as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Also, motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.